the things that make you feel like you want to be able, willing to, inviting the risks, you don't respect that same measure of risk when you are really at that moment where you could still say, no, I'm not going to do it. Let me sit still and not do it. So your motivation leads you to the dance. That means you're in front of that chart. You're sitting there, you're watching it. You have your silver bullet in mind. You have your optimal trade entry in mind. You have, whatever else I've ever taught that you've gravitated to as your model. You have your draw on liquidity. You believe it's going to go here or it's going to go there, and you're ready to see it. If it could just give you a fair value gap, you're in there. But then something magical happens. Something magical comes in and changes everything. It's like your perception completely changes, and it becomes sometimes like a language you've never read before, and you're like a deer in headlights. You're paralyzed. You knew what you wanted to do, but now you're in front of the charts and you're watching live practice action and you can't do it. You're waiting for something to appear as a nudge, a little, you're right, now take it. And many of us, when we first start, we call that confirmation. The only thing that it confirms is you sat there too long. That's what it confirms. You sat there too long. Now it's already moved. It would be better for you to wait for some kind of a down close candle in a lower time frame, reach into a fair value gap if you're bullish, and then use that. Don't chase running higher price when you're bullish. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because the only thing you're doing is increasing the likelihood of your stop loss needing to be larger than it's necessary to be, or making it harder for you to hold the trade, because you're going to know as soon as you enter it, you're going to be demanding subconsciously that it moves right away in your favor, and you don't want to see any kind of drawdown. Whereas if you're bullish, and this is how I teach, so it overcomes a lot of the built-in fears that are associated with being poorly placed in a trade or chasing price. So if you're bullish, I'm teaching you to buy what? A down close candle, or a candle that's forming a likely down close candle, but it need not close down. It could be trading lower and still have a higher close. But at the time of your entry, if you're bullish, you're waiting for price to go lower into an inefficiency or run below a short-term low to take those stops. So you're going to buy sell stops or buy inefficiency on a buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiency. You're going to buy that rebalancing to close up and overlap that up close candle that you're seeing as an inefficiency. So you're buying against the grain of price delivery versus impulsively chasing it. In the beginning, because you think as a trader, just like I did, I want to be in a market that has the market going up. Like I want to be in a move that's going up. It's too scary. I'm speaking hypothetically and in retrospect to how it was when I first started. So as a 20-year-old, I was afraid to buy things when it was moving lower. To me, it made no sense. I mean, it literally made no sense whatsoever to go in and try to pick a bottom. That's what I was looking at it as, because I heard my mentor say, you got to avoid trying to pick bottoms. They're like catching falling knives. You have to wait for that dagger to fall, hit the ground, stop quivering, then gingerly go over and pick it up. That's verbatim. That's literally right out of that Ford cassette tape VHS course that he had from 1995. It was ingrained in me, just like the things that I say to you as your mentor. I'm not in the room with you, but you'll see something in the charts and you'll hear my voice saying the very thing that you had a resonation with in a video or a lecture, maybe something in this one today. And you'll hear my voice, you'll know exactly what I said verbatim, because it left an indelible mark on you. It made an impact on you psychologically, so you think differently as a result of it. In the beginning, when you have no real clue what you're doing, no model, you can become very impulsive. But as a new student with a model, with all the right motivation, you still can be impulsive. What does that mean? What does that mean? What's the contrast between what I've already said so far versus someone that now has a model has all the right mindset, has listened to all the proper mindset from the inner circle trader and how to do this and how to do that. And now we're at the dance now. We're staring at the chart. It's during that 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock hour. We know that there's going to be a silver bullet. We know that it's likely going to draw to a liquidity pool that's pretty obvious where it's likely to go. But here you are, sitting there looking at price. When you have a model and you have all the proper motivation that led you up to the point where now you've made the decision, you went to sleep the previous day, you woke up with every expectation that you're going to go into this following the plan, following the model, following the rules. You're looking for this setup to form. And now you're here. You're in front of the charts. You're there. And you do what? You act impulsively. You see something that is not your model. Perfect example. I'll give you something. You've done the work. You've done the analysis. You've listened to me talk about what I think the market's going to likely draw to on a higher time frame. You committed to the idea that that's probably what you're going to subscribe to. So you're only going to focus in that direction. And that's the proper mindset. Not that you should be handheld, but that's why I do it. So that way you can keep your premise, your bias, the narrative focused on that time frame draw. You won't be 100%, but now because you're in front of the charts, subconsciously you're demanding that you're 100%. Is that practical? Is that realistic? Is that something that anyone could reasonably expect to have? Especially if they're new? No, of course not. But that motivation that carried you to that moment, where now you're in front of the charts, you're ready to do your model, you're ready to pull the trigger. All you have to do is wait for that fair value gap to form, because it's going to be moving up quickly, and it's going to create that little buy sign of balance, sell sign of efficiency, and it's going to form it in a place where it allows you to capture 12 to 15 handles. So that means your minimum criteria for the trade would be met. It's really there. But unfortunately, it's not there yet. And what happens is you start seeing price run. And in your mind, you're thinking, this is going to be one of those times where it's not going to create a fair value gap. And here I am. I did all the work. I got all this stuff drawn on my chart. I have all the lipstick. I have all the motivation. I'm here now. And I know what's going to happen, because Murphy's Law says that whatever can go wrong is going to go wrong, and it's going to run without me. And I'm not going to be able to accept that, because I've done all this preliminary analysis. I've done all this preliminary workup, listening to this guy, Jawbone. I'm all pumped up. I'm ready to go. And here it's running. It just took off 8 handles straight, one shot. It's running. Your mind's going to be tricked by that because you haven't watched price enough. That motivation to do the right things get replaced with impulsiveness, because the lack of experience, the lack of the doing of it, being there, not just simply watching price. That's the first stage. Is tapering is just the first stage. Then you got to do it with a demo and submit to the idea that the rules still have to be applied. But then with live fund trading, or the equivalent thereof, where you can lose something, your funded account, challenge account, your funded account, or your live account, you want to capture money. And the lack of experience that you have, and everybody has that lack in the beginning. And all of you, and I was not exempt from this. I wanted to get through that stage quickly. I wanted to leave it behind me in my rearview mirror. I want to be able to say, yeah, see you later. I ain't never going back to that town again, which is ignorance, neophyteville, beginner. Like, you want to be able to leave the ranks of a newbie. When I'm encouraging you to live there for a little while, because that's going to teach you who you are. And it's going to show you the character flaws that you have, that you're pretending you don't have, that you've been hiding from yourself your entire life. However long you've been on a spinning rock, all of you have character flaws.